What's up, guys? What's going on? So it's a long day, 5 o'clock. I'm here for phase 2, and I'm like, I can't just go home and take a shower without making a video out here in the food forest. And honestly, I've been here for 2 days now, and I haven't even walked it myself. So like, you guys are going on the first walk with me. It's just the growth is just, it's unbelievable. It's almost like I said, my own projects kind of blow my mind, and I think you all are going to be a little bit shocked too. So this is that kind of wild shade area, which when I left, I mean, we planted, the molangas as roots. So there was no plant. Obviously, when I came back for that second month video, or that second video, they had grown some leaves, but nothing like they are now. But I just want to walk you all around a little bit, check out the galangal, the spiraling ginger. They're covered in flowers. Actually, these things hardly ever grow in this quick. This is one of those delicious edible flowers. That one has an ant in it, so I'm not going to eat it. But starfruit tree doing really well. There's a bunch of adamoyas over there. Big Avocados looking pretty happy. You got to remember, we've had, before we had the tropical storm too, they had like a mini tornado here. So they did get a little bit battered. All this stuff's recovered since then. So I noticed there's a maintenance crew here. There is caretaker. There's 2 or 3 people that are designated, and their daily job is to take care of this agroforestry system over here behind me. This definitely obviously doesn't maintain itself. When I made the first video, we had a lot of questions about maintenance, so I'm going to try to grab Quentin, who's the guy that does pretty much the caretaker here, we'll say. He's the main guy in charge of the agroforestry system. He really gets it. FGCU grad. I met him at my permaculture design course we actually had at our property with Eric Tonesmeyer. So that's when I met Quentin. We actually call him Q. I keep wanting to say Q. And you can see today, so I'm noticing now here behind me, and I'll take you all in to see that, they've really had some amazing success with this sun hemp. It's been a killer border plant, and you could see it was just removed from this side, and they haven't removed it on this side yet. It's very woody right now. Some is flowering, some has some dead in it. They're going to cut that down, lay it in those beds where they have weed penetration, use it for biomass. But look at the roselle, goldenrod looks really good. All the mangoes look good. The bananas are probably the most impressive. Fakahatchee grass doing really good. Firebush didn't like this side, so Firebush is going to come over to the new dry area. And that's something I'm going to mention, in my phase 2 video, and I just want to bring up again. We're on one property. It's like 10 or 12 acres, and it's kind of like a peninsula. The entry to get in here is like a long sliver, and on the back over here, we have a very rich black soil, wet. That's like the Everglades. The Everglades. Literally, it's a swamp. It hasn't rained, and there's mud over there on aisle 1. I could take you over and show you guys. And then just over here, on the other side of the solar barn, it's like the Sahara Desert. It's complete sugar sand. The difference in the species that showed up here natively is night and day from one side to the other. So, we've learned now, since we've planted this side, what likes the wet feet, what's doing good over here, what we're going to be planting more of, and what doesn't like it here, and what we're going to pull out, like the sweet almond, the firebush. There's been a couple of things in particular that just, they're not doing it. They're not thriving. They're not liking being over here. So you can see the lushness here, the denseness is just incredible. A little disappointed with the growth on these eucalyptus trees. We've planted these as windbreaks in the corners. Those ones over there, where they're a little bit more protected, definitely have more size to them. And as you see, as we go this way, they get dinkier and dinkier. So I'm thinking they want a little protection, initially while they're getting established. And like I said, I haven't been in any of these rows since I've gone back. And here's something else I'll point out that's not doing really well. That is a papaya. Papayas definitely do not like the wet feet. They can't stand it, so they're trying to put them on mounds now. They're giving them another shot. We're going to put some papayas in on that new planting, and I'm sure y'all are going to see this little bit of a brown edge, and you're going to think they're spraying herbicide. That is an organic OMRI approved product. That's actually made by one of the companies I was getting the biochar from, and that's a Miramichi green herbicide. So if y'all want to look it up and see what they're using to control those edges, check it out. They don't use it in a lot of places, but they are using it in some areas that You know, these weeds here, I have to say, and I think it has something to do with the moisture, these things are like tapped into it. I mean, we did a lot of work here in the prep, getting this grass out, getting those roots out, and it, you know, even with the heavy mulch, even with the heavy ground covers, you know, we've definitely had a little bit of weed penetration. But look at this jungle. I mean, this place is, it's unbelievable. I mean, look at the bananas for days. So I'm taking y'all out to the Cheeki Hut. We're gonna check that out. We'll check out the market garden. I don't want to make a 20-minute video here, but I just wanted to show you all around a little bit, and can't believe the growth on some of these things. You know, I'm really impressed. Like I said, really impressed. Bananas here rock out. You know, that's a no-brainer, and I'm gonna get busted here on the video, but if I don't get this, I think oh, there's 4 of them on here. 5, 6. Oh my gosh. So look what we have here behind me, and look what I found. I believe that's probably a giant mulberry. It's absolutely delicious. I'll show you a couple more. So they probably just pruned this. You know, this is not the time of year for mulberries, but when you prune them like that, something in that shock of the prune does get them to fruit again. So, you know, typically speaking, back at my farm, we've got many different types of mulberries, and the only one that fruits more than once without pruning is the everbearing. So, you know, it's pretty cool. A little pro tip there on that. Something else I'm gonna point out that is just rocking here, and it's obvious why, but sugarcane. You know, sugarcane, they're gonna have a press here eventually. All the fresh, you know, sugarcane, sugar in the raw juice you could ever imagine, coming right here off of the land. So, you know, talk about self-sustaining, self-sufficient. You know, from back here, you can see that whole top roof of the barn is covered in solar panels. You know, this property of the home is net zero. Look at one of these bananas. So this has been 9 months since these went in from, you know, 1.5 foot bananas, and let's see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bananas, monster flower. You know, flower coming out on the next one, flower on the next row. You know, there's flowers out here for days. So it's very impressive, you know, as being a designer and installer, and, you know, putting this in and coming back to see these kind of results. You know, I am blown away by my own work. I am blown away by nature, and you know, with a little bit of time and effort, anybody can build one of these. So I am in the Cheeki Hut, so you could call this the destination in the middle of the grove. Beautiful little hammock in here. And this is out in the center of, you know, I believe row 5 or 6. And this is, you know, lots of cool tropical species. You know, the idea is when you're here, you know, you're not in Bradenton. You know, you're in Costa Rica. You're in the jungle. You know, that's the whole idea when you come to this space, you know, to have that feeling of like, where am I? You know, when you sit down and really just kind of look around here, you know, you do kind of feel like you're in the jungle. And, you know, these coconuts, which I believe are a dwarf spicata, haven't even grown up yet. You know, there's some really big, really cool, you see that big leaf over there, that's a Cercopia. I mean, that's like literally like eating gummy worms or something right off the tree. Really interesting looking fruits, to say the least. So that's a really exciting one. I can't wait till that one grows up over here in this area. Some purple sugarcane or black sugarcane. And look at this stuff. Peanut's doing really good on this mound. That's almost all perennial peanut. Here's another rack of bananas. Caliandra flowering nicely. And back here we have a little bit of a wind buffer break from the grove off of the water. So there's, you know, salt water right there on the other side. There's mangroves. We have coconuts, cabbage palms, green buttonwood. And this we did not plant. This was this year. This wants to be here. It's doing great as a ground cover. Makes a beautiful little flower. I believe in South Florida it's a class 1 invasive. This is called Wooddelia. You'll see this in a lot of wet areas. And, you know, I know it's invasive, but that's definitely one of those invasives that's doing really well. And I believe has a place and a purpose in some landscapes. I mean, you know, even though it's a invasive plant, it does a really good job. I mean, like when I look down this bed, you know, my eyes, I instantly observe 0 weed penetration. All I see is a nice edge and Wooddelia completely built up. So, you know, that's keeping the maintenance down for these guys. You know, they have a lot of things, I'm sure, to keep them busy out here. Here's that Cercopia. This is the one that makes that gummy worm-like fruit I was talking to y'all about. I mean, look at these things. This is my, you know, comfrey of the South. Look at the bees. So that's that Mexican sunflower, that Tithonia. You know, that one's obviously doing really well here too. That can handle the wet feet. So, you know, we've learned what does good, what doesn't do good on this site, putting more of what's gonna do good over there. What didn't do good, we're taking out and putting over there. So expanding the grove, it's pretty exciting times right now. I'm excited to be back. This has definitely been a really fun project for us. So I'm gonna turn the camera around, let y'all see what I'm seeing. Now we could make a 2-hour video going up and down every aisle here, but there's, you know, lychees. That's a sapodilla. That's not a lychee. Next one's sapodilla. So sapodillas are very wind and salt tolerant. We tried to put those on the ends of the rows. Also heard that lychees are fairly, you know, tolerant of the wind. So we have those on one of those road ends. I noticed some guavas here as we're walking by. Loaded up. Another beautiful sunflower. Really cool to see those sunflowers flowering like this at such a short height. You know, typically speaking, mine tend to want to, you know, flower once they get a little bit taller. Wow, he's gonna have a really banner year on guavas. I see them all over this one. I see them all over this one, and I'll take y'all in and show you. Look at that. Moringa. Everybody wants some moringa. And we really tried to plant densely around these starfruit trees because they're very wind intolerant. So those are in the middle of the grove for protection. So there's that center access road, papaya, sugarcane. As you can see, very densely planted here. We got grafted loquats on this side, a couple of jujubes on that side, lots of mangoes. You know, there's sugar apples out here. As you can see, it is filling in nicely. So turmeric out here in the market garden, ready to harvest. They've had a banner year and things are kind of transitioning out there in the market garden right now. As we're going this way, we're definitely getting much drier. So the papayas are doing better. This is where we have the avocados because they definitely could not handle that wet feet. There's an avocado. That's our spacing too. So fruit tree, banana. Fruit tree, you know, fig. Fruit tree, fig's obviously not going to get, you know, as big as the avocados are, so that's the in-between species over here. As you see, firebush doing a little bit better finally over here on this side of the grove. Over here in the center we have dragon fruit and passion fruit that's trellised. It's doing really well, and I think I'm going to show you that, the sweet potatoes, and I'm out of here. So this is the passion fruit, Passiflora edulis. I believe this purple possum variety right here, doing really nice. And I don't see any fruits on it just yet, but it's doing good. And we've got clumping grasses and Molochia, longevity spinach, and you can see the dragon fruits are starting to get up onto their trellises. Just past that we have some grapes. So there's that sun hemp again. They've pruned that multiple times. Cranberry hibiscus doing really well. That's that red plant. So we aren't getting into this side at all this time. So from that pond right there over to about there is our project this time, and kind of staying out of this space. This is something that happened after we left. I think I barely touched on it, but you know, there's probably 1,000 pounds of sweet potatoes over here. And I like how they've added or started to do their own propagation. So they're starting to add lemongrass kind of for an aesthetic on the border, which had Molochia in between them. They just got towards the end of season. So another little pond right there. I told you we're gonna be putting some water plants in. So I hope that was not too long. And I'm gonna get Ryan to give me a tour. I'm gonna get Q to give me a tour. Try to get one of the kids to give me a tour, and I'll probably even get that drone out for y'all. So hope you enjoyed the follow-up over here. This site has been a pleasure to work on, a pleasure to feature. So like, subscribe, share, pound it.